All right, everyone, welcome back to the channel. And today we have a cool video on 3 tips how to get out of your bowling slump. Now today we have Coach Daniel with us. Daniel, how are you doing today?
Good.
All right,
Perfect.
good. So we've all been in slumps before, for me, many times, but it's important to get the right direction on how to get out of that slump. And when you're in a slump, if you don't get proper direction, and because I've been through this, sometimes you're just constantly spinning your wheels, trying to get out of it, and nothing seems to work. So what's the first tip on how to get out of a slump?
It's actually not as complicated as you would think. Some of it is pretty obvious. The number one factor when somebody's in a slump is that frustration, right? You come to bowl Tuesday night league, you bowl bad, you get frustrated. Now you're going to your Thursday night league, and that carries on. And then as soon as you have 2 or 3 weeks like that, now you're in a slump.
Yeah.
So how do you get out of that slump? The first thing you have to do is realize that you're frustrated. You have to actually step out of your mind and realize that you're frustrated. Then you have to learn how to combat that frustration. When you're frustrated, you're a trained bowler. Just about anybody that averages 170, 160 is already a trained bowler.
Right.
You have trained to do your thing, the way you do it. Well, one of the things that happens is that when you're frustrated, you start doing things.
Yes.
And you try this, and you try that, and you try to make it happen, and you try, right? So for most amateur bowlers, sometimes that translates into pulling down from the top of the swing and trying to throw harder. One of the ones that I've seen very often is the push away becomes quite exaggerated because the bowler is trying to create more oomph. Right? You are not doing well. So what are you going to do? You're going to do something about it.
I keep hearing you say it's try. You're trying.
Right.
And all that try, all that effort tends to be counterproductive at some point.
Yeah, if you're already doing things poorly, adding to the equation, you're just going to do more things poorly.
Right.
So that's part of what you want to do to change your mind and your mindset. One of the best tips that I can give you is why don't you just try doing something that is positive for your game, that is very doable. That's the key word. Do something that is very doable, very easy to do. For example, when you're frustrated, just take your first step a tiny bit smaller.
Okay.
That will force the rest of your steps to calm down, to soften up, and it'll place your brain in a good positive state because you can do it. It's not too hard to do. You want to give it a shot?
Let's do it. You know, it's interesting that you say that because I feel like when people do get in a little bit of a rut, they tend to start making those first couple steps a little longer. And why do you think that is?
Well, the reason for that is actually simple. You're trying to add value to what you're doing. You're trying to fix.
Yeah.
Right? So the push away gets a little bigger, the first step gets a little bigger, and then the overall equation that is already mathing out to be wrong, it's wronger.
It's wrong. It's wronger.
Does that help?
Yeah.
So just make a tiny step on the first one and see what that feels like.
Okay, so first step, I'm just imagining this step just being pretty small, just barely moving it. A warm-up shot here. But yeah, my feet were under me. And I think the whole point of like this tip is like the effort thing. Like trying to, and I've done this so many times when I'm struggling, I'm trying to put more effort in. And you know, when you're bowling good, you're in a flow state of nothing's going on up here.
Right.
You're not manufacturing things. You're not putting a lot of effort in, like you're trying to run as fast as you can or jump as high. Like you're not trying very hard. It's just everything's in sync and everything's happening.
You know, if I was speaking to some of our viewers, I would ask this question. Think about it yourself, right, while you're watching this video. The last time you bowled your very best. Do you remember every frame? Likely, you don't.
Yeah.
Because things were just flowing.
Just flowing.
But you always remember that really bad frame or that really bad open when you had, for the first time ever, the front 8 and all of a sudden you botched it. You remember that.
Yeah, you remember the bad a lot more than
But
the
the
good
first
at
8
times.
that you threw great,
Yeah.
you just know there were strikes. That's all you know.
Yeah, you remember that 7-10 or that washout or whatever. So I'm gonna throw another shot here. I wanna try getting
And
that
then
first.
after this one, I'm going to give you another tip that I
Okay, so I'm gonna try that again. See if I can hit the head pin on a house shot. The viewers know this house shot is difficult. All right, short first step. Oh, we banged on it. Bowling on US Open out here.
This house shot is difficult for you.
Very.
Because everybody
very.
else strikes a bunch.
Well, we used the old machine, and they got this funky house shot in there. And man, I don't know if Keith, the lane guy, is just messing with us. It actually is like 2-to-1, but it's tough. Okay, so
So let me give you another tip. Something you can do when you're on a rut. You got to put your brain, when you're in a slump, you got to put your brain on a different state of mind. Put in your brain on a positive note, something you can do. On the next shot, do me a favor, and just, you're very good at staying at the foul line real solid, right? Real balanced.
yeah.
You stay low, and then once the ball leaves your hand, you have a tendency to kind of start coming up as you're watching the ball. You don't lose your balance.
Yeah.
Your head just starts to come up to watch, to see, almost like you're looking to see what's
Yeah.
up. Stay low.
Stay low.
A little bit longer.
Okay.
I am talking a half a second.
Okay.
Just a little bit longer. It'll make you feel better about your shot. It'll make you feel like a better executed shot.
Yeah.
And that will start bringing some positiveness into your bowling to get you out of your slump.
Okay. So I'm just focusing on staying down just a hair longer at the foul line, a little more balance. Tried to stay a little bit more solid on that one. Did it translate?
It did translate. You stayed nice and low for a little bit longer, and that is something that you can just accomplish, right?
Yeah.
All of you. You can accomplish doing that. That tiny little positive thing that is not gonna mess with your game will get your head out of that frustration and out of that state of trying to do more.
Yeah, you know, I think when you get super frustrated and things are, you know, you're in a slump, your mind goes in a million different directions. You try to work on this and this and this, and it, like you said, things get really complicated. These are almost little cues that can just simplify the game to an extent to where it just slows your mind down, puts it at ease and go, you know what, I'm not gonna worry about, you know, my hands over rotating or this or that, or, you know, my timing's completely off. I'm just gonna stay down on my shot a little bit longer. I'm just gonna shorten that first step. Doing some things that you can accomplish. Like, I can't tell you how many times when I am in a groove, I have just a little tiny cue in my game that I'm thinking about that I know I can do. And when I do that, it's just, I'm able to repeat my shot over and over again.
Another one that happens pretty often with the amateur bowlers is the frustration over not hitting your target. It happens all the time, and it's a pretty negative place to be in your mind space, right? So for example, let's say you're aiming at third arrow and you keep missing it. So as soon as you get up there, and I bet you a lot of these guys viewing this video probably relate. As soon as you throw the ball and you're aiming at third arrow and you miss it again, you're now just angrier.
You're just mad.
You're just angrier.
I'm not hitting my
Every
target.
time you miss
Yeah.
it, you're gonna get angrier, right? And it's not going to collaborate. It's not bringing
Right.
anything good to the equation. So one of the things that I recommend a lot of my bowlers do, simply stop aiming at third arrow. if you're gonna miss it and you're gonna get mad, just don't look at it.
Yeah.
Third arrow is on board 15. Use board 15 and look 6 inches or 8 inches, whatever you like.
Yeah.
Prior, before third arrow, or
After.
8 inches after. It's
Okay.
not really gonna change your line to move your line of sight this much.
Yeah.
But it's gonna stop you from keeping on hammering in your head, you know, dang it, I missed it again.
Yeah, and sometimes it's good to just bring like a little bit of a fresh idea, like a fresh thought into the game. I want to try that actually. I want to try looking, because I look at the arrows, you know, religiously. I really don't ever move off the arrows, but I want to try looking a little before the arrows actually. See what that does for me here. I'm looking at like, say, 18 at the arrows kind of, and then I'm just gonna bring my eyes back like 6 inches and just look a little before the arrows. Oh, wow, that made me roll it. Dude, when I looked closer to me, it shot the ball right quicker. That was kind of interesting.
And I think we picked the right day to talk about a slump because you haven't struck once.
I know. I'm waiting for one of these tips to just allow me to strike.
That way.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. So, all right, I like that. To recap real quick, we have, we identify the frustration. We need to understand, like, hey, self-reflect a little bit.
Yep.
We need to calm down.
I'm mad, I need to think about something else.
I need to think about something else. And in order to do that, we want to try to work on something or think about something that's easy to do. We can check it off the list. It's almost like, you know, if you want to get your day started really well, just make your bed.
That kind of thing, yeah.
That kind of thing. Just make your bed. So we talked about shortening the first step, talked about looking somewhere different. We talked about staying down at the line. One tip that I have that has helped me personally, and I've seen it help other people, is that, like, for instance, like right now, not very comfortable on the lanes. A lot of times when we're not comfortable, we're not throwing it right, I feel like people's pushaways get very manufactured.
Yep.
So like when you're up here, this all gets so tense.
And it gets exaggerated.
And it gets exaggerated and it gets mechanical. Instead of just letting the ball drop, you start forcing it and you start just trying to manufacture everything. And that tends to decrease our accuracy, tends to take away pin carry. A lot of things start going awry when that happens.
Yep.
So like for all you out there, when you're struggling, just relax a little bit. Make sure that you're conscious a little bit when you're in your setup here. Is my arm super tense or am I relaxed? Like, is your bicep completely tensed or not? That is something that has helped me a ton as far as just getting up here and like, okay. Again, when you start trying so hard, you're like, all right, let me place this here and everything's gotta be perfect and get it in the right spot. It's like, no, you just have to go and let everything else take care of itself.
Absolutely.
I wanna see if this tip helps me. Let me see if the fourth one's a try. We're just gonna go to the wheelhouse and go to 19 at the arrows. I'm just gonna think about a loose push away. Everything's been bad so far. Loosen this bad boy up. Nice and relaxed. The phase AI is just either too much or not enough for me right now. But anyway, those are some things we can control.
Yes, sir. Always try to work on the small things that you can control. The human brain is not very capable at taking negative orders.
No.
The human brain wants to take positive orders. Do actionable items, and that's what's really going to help you get out of your slump. Do those things that you know are good for your game that you can do, and you'll get out of it.
All right, everyone, I hope you enjoyed that video, and looks like that I have some homework to do to go practice to try to get out of my slump for this video.
That was stinky.
Yeah, that was stinky, but anyway, please take these tips to heart, try them, and see which one kind of resonates with you. If taking a shorter step isn't what works for you, but maybe staying solid at the line works for you, that's completely okay. And make sure you guys check out our membership. Coach Daniel is always helping people, guiding people, and just sharing this type of knowledge to help people get out of slumps and improve their game in general. So link is in the description. Brad and Kyle membership. We're always running deals. Please check that out. Coach Daniel, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much. See you soon.
See you on the next one.